Is this a bike lock which I see before me? The handle toward my hand. Come, let me clutch thee. Will all great Neptune's oceans wash this methylamine clean from my hand? Wake, crazy eight, with thy knocking. I would thou couldst.
Now, say my name.
You're Macbeth.
You're goddamn right.
To, from, wool of bat, tongue of dog, adder's foot, blind worm's sting, lizard's leg.
Hey everybody. So this is the follow-up I've been planning for several weeks to the video that I put out on April 23rd for Shakespeare's birthday, where I showed parallels between modern stuff and stuff that was borrowed right from his works, and then I concluded it with the call to action to my viewers to see, can you draw a parallel between Macbeth and a modern character? And I promised shout-outs to the people who in the comments gave me the best answer. And as I introduced, I have a strong feeling, I see strong connections with Breaking Bad and Heisenberg, specifically as relates to that chain of sin issue where I read that connection. You know, a guy becomes increasingly desensitized to the evil of what he's doing. I want to encourage you to subscribe to these two individuals, that I promised to shout out to. They both show focus on photography, showing beautiful scenery. One of them in Helsinki, Finland. The other one, David's a photographer, and his channel shows off the beautiful scenery in California. Check them out. I liked their answers. One of them said the connection to Game of Thrones, saying that we saw a direct parallel between one of the characters in that and Banquo. And I also really like the answer that my other Shoutout winner came up with, saying the Woody Allen film Crimes and Misdemeanors. I liked it in one. I would agree and disagree actually with it. I would agree in the sense that a guy gets in over his head. He feels, I can murder my wife. And, I can commit one evil act. I can stop any time, and it ends up consuming him with guilt. And that, of course, is where I would disagree, because the idea is with Macbeth and also very much with Heisenberg. By the time the series is over, he's the cold-blooded killer, thinks nothing of ordering the murder of multiple people in prison. That scene where he's just overseeing just the mass murders of everybody that stands in his way, and just the guy doesn't even blink. Very similar to Macbeth, saying, that I will, the witches have warned me about Macduff. I'm going to kill him and his entire family, including his little children and so forth. I mean, these two absolute monsters. But if you look back, we see neither of these characters were that same kind of monster at the beginning. Macbeth brooding over, is this a dagger I see before me? That famous monologue, he constantly wants to back out of it. Does he have the guts to really go forward with this? Just like we could imagine, Walter White, when he's sitting on the toilet, drawing up the arguments about, should we let Crazy Eight live or should we kill him? Both of these characters I'm comparing, we have, we start with the first murder that they agonize over forever, and then we conclude with the fact that now they can kill en masse and they don't even think about it. And both of these characters, we got to keep in mind, they have what I would call a point of no return. The point where, as Macbeth says, why he doesn't have any reservations anymore is because
I am in blood stepped in so far that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go on.
So yeah, by the end of their respective stories, both of these characters have gone to the point where they're steeped in blood so far that the very firstlings of their heart shall be the firstlings of their hand. How did they get to that point where they're steeped in blood to that point? You know, with Macbeth, I would say it's when he orders the assassination of Banquo. You know, I would say the parallel with Walter White would be this point where he runs over the two gangsters. After that, there's no going back. I mean, I remember when I first saw that scene, but I was shocked. I mean, you know, not just the running them over, but then when he gets out of the car, one of them is still alive, you know, gets up, picks up the gun, puts a bullet in the back of his head, cold-blooded assassination. I mean, God. I mean, I know you could say that he's doing that in, you know, to save Jesse's life or whatever. They were pointing guns at him. But I mean, that is like, I mean, such a far cry from the guy who you'll recall with the first murder with Crazy 8. You know, he's got him locked up there. He's debating whether he should do it. He's even found that broken plate. He's figured out that Crazy 8 has stolen, you know, a shard of it and that he's planning to stab him with it. And even so, he's still about to let him go. And he wants to, and he asks him, "Are you going to stab me with that as soon as I let you go?" And he does try to stab him with it, you know. And we see him, you know, the guy that we see at the end or the guy that we saw in the middle when he runs over the gangsters, such a far cry from this guy who's ending, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," the guy who just tried to kill him. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it made you think a little bit about the literary connections. Please tell me what you think about it in the comments. Also, if you have more ideas, I mean, this might not even be the last video in this series. This was a follow-up video to the first one. If you guys want to say stuff in the comments, you have other ideas about parallels between stuff in Shakespeare and modern day works, and you'd like me to make another follow-up video on that, I could consider it. And of course, if you're the one that suggests it, I would definitely give you the shout out the next time. So something to think about. Take care. I'll see you guys around.
The little penny snake in the cauldron boil and bake. I of meat, two from wool of bat, tongue of dog, adders for blind worm sting.